Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I present to you a game of Age of Mythology retold. Spawning in the bottom of the map in the blue color, playing as Thor. His name is TheRapl. His partner today in the yellow color. I'm struggling to move my screen because something weird's going on. So let me just do this, and we'll just do this. Is TheMista. Oh, it's still not working. That's unfortunate. Okay, we have to go with the old standard here of all the way down. Okay. Is TheMista. So we've got TheRapl and TheMista joining forces here in a team game. Their opponents in the green color playing as Odin. His name is Redo. And rounding out the team in the red color playing as Poseidon. His name is Grass. This is arguably the highest rated 1v1 2v2 game I think I've ever watched. This one was sent to me in private with the caption, "This game is an absolute banger of a game." So apparently it's going to be an absolute banger. We'll have to wait and see. We do have the Thor and Loki sort of combo here from Mr. and Rapl. We've already got a cheeky little curse coming down somewhere in this main base, so he sees what's going on. Mr. is one of those players who is very much all about knowledge is power. He needs to know what his opponent's doing so that he can make the correct response to it. If he doesn't know what his opponent's doing, then he's going to be very upset. And he's going to get caught out and he's going to cry. And we don't want him to cry because he's a really, really strong player who very rarely ever gets caught out because he's so good at scouting. Over here, though, Rito and Grass. I mean, Grass obviously currently, he's about 4th or 5th currently ranked. He's one of the top 5 players. There's a handful of players I throw into the top 5. Grass is definitely a force to be reckoned with. Rito, on the other hand, over here, I haven't really seen him performing all too well in tournaments, but he is an absolute beast in his own right. And if he gets his day, he can definitely tango with the best of the best. Relics on this map, we'll see if anyone's going to be picking those up. We've got that Tearfing Angantyr sword. That's going to be huge for TheMista over there. See if anyone spotted it. Looks like neither player has spotted it. Rapl is not doing his due diligence of scouting just yet, and he's barely missed it. Look at this. Barely missed it. When I say barely missed it, I mean, yeah, kind of. Anyways, we'll see what these guys are going to go for. I think it's quite hard to see team games because you can't see what god they're going. I can see up the top here when they're sort of advancing. So you have to bear with me a little bit. What if I click this button? This takes me into the individual's resources, so we can jump around and see what's going on there. As we do have Mr. is going to go through force in a nice 4-minute advance time. Over here we see the Hermes coming through for Grass. Still no advance time for Rapl just yet. And we see Freya coming through for Redo. So just waiting on that advance time for Rapl. I think advancing late in a team game, there's really no problems with it because the maps are larger, so it takes a longer time to get across the map. Unless you're going for a team rush. And there are some pretty crazy ideas like double Greek, double forward military academy sort of ideas, forward temples. And you just go and you punish kind of like the delayed advance meta, so to speak. So it is it's an option nonetheless, but we'll see what these guys are going to go for. It's a fairly standard advance time for both. 4 villages on food, wood, 7 on food, 4 on gold there. Rapple's doing a standard all dwarf sort of build. A couple of gatherers actually getting produced, but mostly fairly standard over there. On the other side here, Grass. I mean, this is looking fairly standard as well. Just a handful of villages on wood, just enough to drop the double stables, and then he's going to go on to gold and food to make that work. And over here for Redo, he is just about hitting that next age. He does take a little bit of a later advance time, so that's going to give him the advantage right now, but we'll see how things are going to go as the Theseus is going to be bringing back that Arrows of Heracles. He's going to boost those units up. Meanwhile, more walls are coming up for TheMista. Super important in team games to get these walls up because you're just not going to be able to control the units from getting into your base. And your base is not safe. without having units there, your base is not safe. So the way to stop units from being in your main base is to wall yourself up. And that delays your opponent from being able to just charge in there and kill villagers. As you see, RapL going to be dropping his Great Hall. And honestly, most of the time, team games, they do come down to speedy units are king. So Zeus Hoplites, for example. Zeus Spirited Charge Cavalry. Poseidon Cavalry. Egyptian going for either like early spears or some Sphinx into camel riders. Norse players going for mass raiding cavalry. Or Hersa as the Loki might want to go for. Atlantean players going for mass Terma or some sort of Mamilo Terma idea. Probably a little bit slower, but with Uranus maybe just going mass Mamilo with that Empyrean speed technology. Nonetheless, we do see a little cheeky Valkyrie coming through. Let's check out what these players have spotted here thus far. Just seeing in the main base, it looks like Mr. spotted both the stables are up, so he knows what to expect. On the other side of the map here, we see a nice little snipe there with that Valkyrie from RapL. He is always onto this. So whenever you see a whole bunch of villagers, I was actually unaware that this was the case because that's how little raiding that I do early game and stuff. But whenever you see a pack of units, if the unit is injured, like you see here, you'll actually have the health bar shown to you. So you know exactly which villager to target down and kill. So you've got to be very, very on top of defending those things as the walls are all coming up. But handful of raiding cavalry will be making it through onto this location. RapL's going to have to make that retreat path here. It looks like he's going to drop one villager. And then the raiding cavalry will get out of there. Mr. coming up to support for the time being. But I think if he comes back up to the top, it just finishes this wall off for RapL and those units are stuck. The Hippias are going to be coming through here. Mr. does notice that one, immediately retreating back. Some of the quickest reactions there is we've got the forest fire getting dropped down onto this spot. The villager's going to be getting pulled back. Not going to do any real damage here as the villagers can just move on to the straggler tree, move on to these chickens. It doesn't really matter. He doesn't actually need wood at the moment if we take a quick look at that. He's got a little bit of wood. He's actually still got wood income coming through here. As Redo does get blocked in, and we will be seeing a forest fire getting dropped down. Mr. not going to care all too much about it, it seems, as he's taken that fight right on top of the forest fire. It does do a significant amount of damage, but you do need units behind it to back it up in a way. In the Classical Age, it gets much better as you advance through the ages. As the army here of Redo and Grass going to have to retreat back. And so far, so good for the Mr. RapL combo. Only really one villager lost. RapL did pick one villager and before retreating back. So all in a fantastic spot at the moment. Meanwhile, Grass ready to put even more pressure on. Moving into the main base. Got to be careful here not to overcommit. I like just going for these houses. Easily going to be able to retreat away. RapL does not yet have himself that Thundering Hooves tech. Mr. does have himself the Hall of Thanes tech as the army is going to just retreat away for Grass. Meanwhile, onto this position over here. Raiding Cavalry going to be engaging up onto this spot. Another Great Hall going to be coming through. As those Raiding Cavalry simply just going to be retreating back. Nice micro there from RapL just to keep that. He almost kept the Raiding Cavalry alive, but not able to make that happen. As Redo is putting the pump on to RapL at the moment. Has to retreat away. Remember that RapL has got those armory upgrades over him, so once they're equally upgraded in terms of line with those medium raiding cavalry, they're going to start winning this fight here. As more units are going to be charging forward here onto this position, the raiding cavalry just simply retreating back for Redo. Meanwhile, looks like the Hippias are going to join up onto this fight. You've got to be super careful taking fights when there's Hersa inbound, because if you take a fight versus those Hersa at this point, that's just giving favor and myth units and economy over to the wayside of the Loki player, as Mr. going to be sitting into the middle here trying to group up a little bit. Are the walls all completed? It looks like they will be getting completed soon. RapL going to be finishing those off over there. There's still a hole in this spot. So if Redo and Grass can kind of identify that as a weakness, there's also that weakness over here. Just one wall. I'm surprised to see this not go up. It's almost like RapL and Mr. are using this as a bit of a bait. It's just like, come into my base, see what happens. We see some Hersa. They've spotted this, and RapL and Mr. Mr. here is just deciding, instead of sending all my Hersa up to here, I'm just going to send 3. I don't really care about picking all the villages. I'm just looking for a very small advantage over here. As another villager doesn't quite die, but the Hersa are going to be retreating away. The speedy Hippias of Grass here should be able to get some return fire in, as the Hearser of Mista starting to slowly move up and support. And we do also see that TheRapl, he is slowly following suit up onto this side. Meanwhile, the walls, they will be coming down onto this location as the raiding cavalry are going to try and power through. I think the walls should be finished before they get in there, though it's going to be very, very close. There's also an opening through this way as well. But the double looks like it's going to be coming up to this spot. The Theseus is sitting in position here. Population-wise, let's take a quick look here. We've got 128 for TheMista, and Grass is sitting at 112. So advantage to Mista. The raiding cavalry do get pulled back. Mista kind of caught out here in a way. But if he gets a good mid-unit spawn like an Einery, he's going to have a great time in this fight. Also just sacking all of these Hearser, not the worst idea. Troll spawn comes through, and look at that troll immediately throwing the rock at the center. Mista knows exactly what he wants to do with that. Draugr spawn not getting a single Einery in this fight, as all of the Hearser do end up getting demolished in this one. But is this a good thing or a bad thing right now for Mista? I mean, you can't be expecting it to be a fantastic thing for the Loki player over here. Meanwhile, the raiding cavalry are into the main base as Mista's villagers getting pulled back. We see the raiding cavalry in for TheRapl. He's in full chase mode right now, trying to get some return fire in onto this one. The dwarves for Mista now going to be returning onto this only gold mine that is behind their base. As the Hippias are going to be charging forward, there is a very slight advantage now cooking for TheRapl and the Mista. TheRapl, he is in the better position. He's got to be using his advantage here to push and find something. Grass and Mista, they are both significantly behind the 8-ball in this game, as we are going to be now seeing some advanced times here. We've got Ace's Grass going through Dionysus at the moment. We don't see anyone else able to get to that next stage as the army now going to be engaging here. Who wins on this fight? We've got TheRapl sitting at, let's see if we can get this up here. TheRapl sitting at 126 pop. Doridu, he's sitting at 130 pop, but he does decide to pull back for the time being here as he's waiting on upgrades, it seems, to just complete the Rube. Meanwhile, Grass is just sitting on the gold in the center of the map, just making sure that nothing can happen here. Some Hearser have managed to defend on this position as Mista is doing Mista things. Population differential between the teams slightly favoring the TheRapl-Mista combo here thus far, but I mean, that's not enough to call any sort of significant advantage just yet. Villager differential is slightly favoring Redo and Grass, so if they can sit back on that villager lead, it will build and they will be able to get to that full population where things get very, very challenging as the raiding cavalry sniping down some Deuterinos over there. As TheRapl going to have to pull back into his main base. Does have a nice retreat path here. Got to be careful with that Valkyrie. Meanwhile, down to the bottom of the map here, we've seen Redo trying to charge through and get a little bit of value as the Hippias of Grass coming through. You also have to remember there's bronze available here. Bronze in combination with Redo's powerful cavalry here is going to be a really, really tough power spike to deal with. The only real option against bronze is to run, but you've got heavy Hippias here, 6.5 speed. You've got 6.6 speed rating cavalry here for Redo, and Mista, he's got a lot of trolls. And this might be the answer here, is the trolls sending those rocks in. They kill so many raiding cavalry with that area of effect damage here. TheRapl is just ever so slightly pulling back as we do have the bronze getting dropped down as the Hearser sit back watching. He's going to charge in after the fact here, and it looks like Mista is calling it off. He says, all right, bronze, too strong. We are going to be pulling back and just trying to keep our villages alive. Look at the population differential. Forest fire, not forest fire, but flaming weapons does come through now for TheRapl as he manages to get a heroic age in. The raiding cavalry coming onto the villages, taking out even more of those. As Mista trying to deal with these units here as best as he possibly can with those trolls coming through, but now the army is retreating away. Those big fat boulders not going to be the best of a chase down tactic, as they do miss quite a lot if you simply just retreat away. As TheRapl now sneaking out onto this position, looking for something to do. And TheRapl, he is making the forward movement with no backup from the Mista right now. The Hippias of Grass coming onto the right side. He sees the dwarfs over here. Is this spotted? by TheMista and TheRapl? It looks like the answer is no. So he knows that there's dwarfs there. Does Mr. realize this is the big question? Where are TheMista's Herser? They're currently sitting over here trying to throw up some barracks, trying to get maybe some Herdmen out to hold on. But too little, not too little too late. His Spidey senses tingle as he pulls back the dwarves. He sees the Hydra charging forward, but the villagers, he does get spotted here. He gets known that he's been out of position. Mr. Very sneaky, but not sneaky enough, as a bunch of dwarves going to go down. The trolls here will get a little bit of damage. That Iron respawn is a big help here in this fight as well. Meanwhile, over onto this side though, TheRapl is cleaning up Ridu's army. I'm not sure what else Ridu's got in this position. He's got all these raiding cavalry over here. Doesn't look like he's yet in to the 4th age just yet. Looks like he's still in that 2nd age. Yeah, so no heavy cavalry will be a real solid advantage for TheRapl at the moment. If we take another look at his actual population, 117 though. That's not enough. That's not enough to deal with what Ridu's got. Ridu's at 152, so he should be able to win in terms of these numbers here. As now we've got Mista. He's into the heroic age. He's got himself that Bragi in. Lots of villagers queued up as the Njord going to be very big. I'm surprised he does this. He does have it on pre-queue, but auto queue, but I'm not. I guess it's a thing. Doesn't really matter. As the army now going to be coming back in onto this position. Those trolls are going to be incredibly tough to break through. But with the help of Atalanta, you can get in onto the back of those trolls and try and make it happen. Meanwhile, over onto this position, the raiding cavalry of TheRapl trying to do the dance as best as they can. TheRapl loves this pullback micro to just try and get as much value as he possibly can. And so his raiding cavalry just simply going to be retreating back. And it looks like Grass back up onto this position here. We've got that fortress coming through for Grass on the center just to secure the gold mine. This is really, really important. Every single one of your exposed gold mines basically needs to have some sort of help, as we've got Njord not going through that Skadi. Njord is the option here, and immediate heavy cavalry coming through as the population for these two players here. It looks like Ridu's got a significant advantage, but he's not able to make anything of it. He's probably overcommitted a little bit on attacking here, but just can retreat back no problems, as the Hippie is going to be moving over onto this position here with Mista. He's moved away from pure Herser. He's got himself some Berserks out. He's got medium Berserks. Needs to get himself that heavy Berserk upgrade. He's also going to be getting him that Call of Valhalla, which is going to be really big help for his favor pool. As the army of Ridu now coming through, we've got the army of Grass also here, and TheRapl, he's going to be attempting to do a little bit of a getaway there with the battle balls. Sacking 2 battle balls to get away is a nice idea, and we see Mista now slowly starting to rotate over onto this position, but both Grass and Ridu, they are controlling the pace here. We're still yet to see any player grabbing a second town center in this game. Surely one Berserk at this point and a town center makes a lot of sense, though. Maybe the idea here is just whoever gets to tier first, clicks that Fimbulwinter, gets a huge amount of damage and a huge amount of momentum. That's going to be the big secret in this matchup. Meanwhile, that's not the case here. Mista says, town center? Why not? As the Hippias are going to be rotating around over here. There's not really anything waiting for him, so he can definitely make something happen. As the raiding cavalry of Ridu, nope, there's still a huge amount of units here as the trolls. Ooh, those trolls can get so much value in. As TheRapl, he is moving around. The communication is on another level here. TheRapl comes around the back, and they can't quite get the troll sandwich to happen here. That made a lot of sense. If TheRapl could have got around the sides there and prevented the retreat back, it would have been lights out for those raiding cavalry. But meanwhile, over onto this position, the Berserks trying to hold here. We see the bronze over onto this position here as Ridu, maybe a little bit, or Grass, maybe a little bit late on that one, but it will mean he has to retreat away. But with flaming weapons coming through for TheMista, he's going to be able to get a huge amount of damage, and ceasefire is in. Grass and Ridu probably just need to retreat away here and call it a day. If we take a quick look at Grass, he does have 4 villages on favor, so he can build up to another bronze. That was his 2nd bronze. Bronze is an incredibly strong god power to be using in this matchup, and we actually are seeing a really, really early Artemis coming through. There's no heroic ages, or mythic ages, I should say, coming through for the rest of the players at the moment. And Grass now, he's in the center of the Mister's base. And those are villagers. Those are dead villagers. We saw a whole bunch of berserks getting converted there. Mister realized he was going to lose quite a few villagers. He says, all right, we'll just convert a bunch and just call it a day. As the berserks can actually turn around and take a little bit of a fight. But Artemis is in. Earthquake going to get dropped down onto the Mister's town center. That's going to be a dead town center and a whole bunch of dead houses to boot. Meanwhile, TheRapl is pushing the units back away from here. But look at the destruction on that position there, as now Mister, he's up onto this location though. He is getting some revenge firing. He's also got the town center up on the front, so he's still got a town center remaining. As the Berserk's chasing away, TheRapl, he's still in hot pursuit up to the top here. If we take a quick look at the resources, he's got the gold, doesn't have the food, doesn't have the hill fort to advance just yet. We do see the hill forts are up, but no hill forts for Mister, no hill forts for TheRapl. It looks like it's going to be all heroic age all the way in this game, as the fortress on this position attempts to get taken out, but it looks like the Hypaspists are in for Grass, and Mister and TheRapl, they've got to start looking to execute some of that magic, and some of that magic is happening over here with the slow but ridiculously powerful troll composition mixed in with the raiding cavalry of TheRapl. This has been very, very, very strong here. Grass, on the other hand, he does manage to come through. He does manage to take the town center down. Mister has got his town center back in the main base as the army breaks down the battle boards over there. And the units are simply just going to be retreating back. Look at the units spread out all over the place here for Redo. Super, super risky, as a handful of raiding cavalry do spot this position. Going to be taking out a couple of those villages. And seeing how this is going to go. More villages will be getting taken down as Redo charges forward for the moment here. If we take another look at Grass, Grass's perspective here, does he have enough favor coming through? No, he doesn't. He's got 82. He's got enough for another ceasefire, but not enough for anything else. I want to see another bronze coming through at some point, as the Herso still over on this position. Where is Grass? Grass's army is not anywhere close, but it looks like Redo is able to hold on in this position, as the army of TheRapl needs to start retreating back here. Meanwhile, Grass going to start pumping through Chimera. I would love to see a ton of Chimera coming in for Grass. Does he have a town center? He's got 2 town centers. You can go for a 3rd town center over here soon. The town center in the middle is an option. We see Mister grabbing a town center over here as well. As Mister is returning back up here with the Berserks, got to be careful not to charge in to those Hypaspists, which are going to be a very, very tough composition to deal with. Raiding cavalry are your best bet, it would seem, for team TheMista and TheRapl. But I mean, if you've got your opponent with mass cavalry and you've got mass infantry or counter infantry, that's absolutely huge, because that forces Mister off of those Berserks most likely, and has to go into some raiding cavalry here himself to kind of deal with this. But already champion infantry, the Berserk's advantage is they do move at 5.3 speed, as a Chimera does use that special ability, gets a little bit of damage off before retreating away, as the fortresses are up. Town center is going to be attempting to get thrown up here. The trolls, however, you got to be careful. You really got to be careful on these things. They pack an absolute punch if you can make it happen. Meanwhile, we are yet again seeing the raiding cavalry charging forward, as it looks like Redo maybe overestimates his position here, and TheRapl is able to delete the majority of those raiding cavalry. And if we now come back onto this thing, what are we seeing here? Looks like no one advancing to the next. Oh, there is a tier coming through for TheRapl, but you do have to be careful, because Grass, he's got a ceasefire. So Fimbulwinter versus ceasefire, that is 0 value for that Fimbulwinter, though it is 75 favor, which is obviously a big deal. So now we've got the Jotuns coming through for Redo. He says it's time to get silly, as the mountain giants are incredibly big. Meanwhile, back over onto this position. Looks like Redo is a little bit scared of going in to like a couple of archers. He's got some, but I think he needs a couple more. How many of those heroes does he have? He's got 3 heroes out. Obviously can get that Polyphemus as well, as the hero is going to be charging forward. Nice micro as always from Grass. Mister here doesn't get a whole bunch of damage done, as the trolls hitting forward. The raiding cavalry though coming forward for TheRapl, and now it's looking a little bit like Grass is caught out. And the timing is just not there for Grass on that ceasefire. That could have been Fimbulwinter's ceasefire if he'd waited just a little bit longer. As Ridu now staring down the base over here. Age ups still not coming through onto these players as the Dwarves going to be returning back home. Mr. is now 3 town centers. He's got his farm set up. He's in a good spot. And there's the Fimbulwinter. As we see in the main base, huge amount of wolf spawns all over the place here. Even in the center of the map as well to help out the Mr. But the Mister's got so many trolls here. Is this going to be enough to hold? The Chimera does get that special ability off. Those heroes are nowhere to be seen at the moment, as it looks like over onto this position, the raiding cavalry of Ridu are yet again falling. We can't deal with, the TheRapl can't deal with those Jotuns here, so he's going to have to move elsewhere. As Polyphemus role-playing his Sauron bashes those wolves away. But Grass is still incredibly big. The problem for Grass and Ridu is that Ridu just keeps on trying to force in this fight, and I don't think he needs to. I think he needs to be playing the defender here, playing the delay role, playing like little defensive plays. But right now, he's now going to be losing villagers on the front. Raiding cavalry moving all across the map. We see villagers retreating back home over onto this position. That's going to get targeted down. Grass has got to act, and Grass has got to act now. But Mr. here, he has found himself in a relatively equal position to take on Grass. Grass charging forward here, gets a Frost Giant spawn on the front. Those Toxotes need to be targeting down the right units here. Unfortunately, they're targeting down a Frost Giant as the Trolls getting pulled back away from that Polyphemus. Polyphemus here can get a huge amount of area of effect damage done. He swings his bat, but he misses a whole bunch of Trolls. The Atalanta going after them, going to start cleaning them up very, very quickly. As those medium Toxotes, he needs more. Flaming Weapons going to get dropped down here for the Mysteries. He gets the favor for it, and Grass gonna have to retreat back, as we are still seeing some attempted raids coming into the main base of the TheRapl. The TheRapl's raiding cavalry are out of position, but Ridu says not today, not going to jump into there just yet, as villagers going to be falling up to the middle of the map here as the army all starting to retreat away. Grass at this moment here, where is he sitting resource-wise? Is that there's the Fimbulwinter for the second time here for Mr. as he just hits tier. And he says, all right, do you have ceasefire left? No, I do not. That one's 63 seconds away. So that's going to be a huge amount of economic damage, as it looks like Grass and Ridu are slowly starting to crumble under the pressure here, as the champion raiding cavalry are in for the TheRapl to deal with these raiding cavalry of Ridu much, much better. And also, TheRapl can start thinking about getting himself Meteoric Iron Mail, getting himself those iron weapons as well at some point, as the back town center is going to be living here for the time being. The Mr. now going to be maybe thinking he's got to get this town center back up, or put some huge pressure in onto Grass. I think maybe just a handful of units, or all the units. Handful of units and put pressure on seems like it's a good idea after the Fimbulwinter, but retreating back, and he's going to get himself up to 4 town centers at the moment. TheRapl and Ridu still going at it in the center here. Still not enough resources. How much does Grass have? Grass is also having a little bit of a struggle town. Has a lot of gold in the bank, but not really many ways to sell that, or use that, I should say. As the Goaty will be able to start dealing with those Jotuns nicely. The Goaty do actually do better against Mountain Giants than Herster, because the Mountain Giants only got 50% hack versus the 40% pierce. But any hero is obviously going to be completely fine there. It's just got so much HP. Arguably, maybe the Herster do better because the Jotuns can't retreat away and they do more damage. It's like 7.8 versus 8.8 or something, right? Maybe it's close. I don't know. But anyways, a little bit of a lull here. There is available to Grass. I just saw it in the chat, and it's not a terrible idea here in the slightest. There is available to Grass Mass Hetairo. The problem is that Mr. has got access to... I can't remember what the tech is called. This one. Swine Array. He's got access to Swine Array, which... Swine Array. Swine Array Herdman, which should trade decently enough against those expensive Hetairoi. But it looks like now the double in onto the main base of Ridu. Ridu is in a really, really difficult position right now as he is getting absolutely cleaned up in his main base, and the army of Graz is, I wouldn't say nowhere to be seen, but very, very late to the party, as now a third town center going to be going down for TheRapl, as his economy is going to start kicking in even more. Population going to get kicked in even more. Look at the difference in population. Over 100, over 200 nearly population differential here as the hoplites charging forward. That's going to be pushing those raiding cavalry ever so slightly back here, as the army on the front here needs to retreat. The champion Berserk's going to be making a forward push over here as the Throw and Axeman coming up onto this spot to try and take those units out as well. As the Goaty here will get sniped down. More units charging in though for the Mister. He's on 4 town centers. He's got just a ridiculous amount of economy and production here at the moment. He has survived it all. And let's just take a look at his general stats right now. He is floating some decent resources, 260 of 260 population, has himself fortified town centers, has all of his houses, has got perfect amounts of armory upgrades as well, just needs those iron upgrades to come through, and I'm sure he's going to be thinking about researching them fairly soon as the town center of Grass falls, as so too does Grass and Ridu's hopes of finding a win in this matchup. Villagers trying to retreat back to the fortress, but there's just not enough population there to help out. And in that moment, Ridu taps out, Grass taps out, and your victors of this absolute cracker of a team game end up being TheMista and TheRapl. An insanely, crazily high level game. Honestly, this could have gone any way at any moment here. I don't even know what to think. There's just too much wild stuff going on here. Look at the resource differential. Let's look at the team. Let's look at the team difference here, as it's so close. You even see the red team in front. Even after the Fimbulwinters came through, Ridu and Grass were actually in front in this situation. And I think maybe Ridu was just trying to force it a little bit too hard against TheRapl, where instead of forcing it, maybe just playing with Grass a little bit harder, or even just playing a more defensive game against the Thor and just slowly lose and let Grass try and take the win on the other side rather than try and force and get a win on your side. But Villagers killed here for TheRapl, absolutely insane. It says my name, but I wasn't playing. Mister as well, with a crazy amount of villagers killed. I think a lot of this was from the Fimbulwinter, though. There was some amazing raids as well, but I'm surprised to see how little the villagers killed here were for Ridu and Grassing, how much pressure they were trying to put on. Nonetheless, that's just a credit to the defensive teamwork of TheMista and Rapl in this game. If you enjoyed this game, please consider the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.